Welcome back, everybody, to Bats and Stats presented by ScoutTheStatline.com. I am, as always, Brian, your host here at Bats and Stats, and I'm here with my compadre, Ross Jensen. Ross, what's new, buddy?
Yeah, not much. I'm just kind of living the dream over here.
I like it. Me too. I'm standing up tonight, so I'm kind of trying to make sure everything's focused here, and it's a little bit more freeing standing up while at the desk. I like it. I got one of the stand-up desk deals, so I'm not sitting on my butt all day long. I'm sure you probably have one of these things, right?
Oh no. I'm more of a sitter, dude.
Not even at the office?
No. Well, we actually have desks that the full desk rises and lowers at the office, so
Jeez. Okay. Fine. Anyways, tonight, guys, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have top 10 first basemen ranked by ScoutTheStatline.com. There's some really cool names in here that I'm really excited to talk about. It's a little bit more exciting than the catchers, in my opinion, this year. Before I got a couple questions for you, but before we do that, should we do beers?
we got to do beers.
We got to do beers.
Absolutely.
We got to do beers. What do you got? Do you want to go first? Do you want to go me go first?
Well, you went first last time, so how about I do first this time?
You teased me with a $70 beer. Did you get the $70 beer?
No, I didn't get the $70 beer. I was cruising the aisles today at the local co-op looking for a good, unique beer, and I was floored because I came across one that was $63.99 or something like that, and then another one that was $79.99 right next to each other, and it was like, whoa, I hadn't seen that before. I'm willing to go up to like, $10-15, and this one was a little on the spendier end, but it was nowhere near that. So this one is from my brewery, my place that I like to go, Sockeye Brewing, and it's called the Shermanator. The Shermanator.
The Shermanator from American Pie. Remember the Shermanator?
Yeah. Okay. I wonder if that's where they're getting that name. Okay. But you know what's awesome about this is going to fit well with our motif for first baseman too, because we have a unique first baseman name near the top end of this list that is at least starts with similar letters. So
yeah.
Was that a coincidence or did I plan that out? I don't know. World may never know. All right, let's give this thing a crack. It's got a wax top. That's how you know it's fancy. Takes a little work to get into it, though. It's the downside.
I gotta say, when you sent me a text message earlier and said you found a $70 beer, I like my beer, and I will drink any kind of beer. I'm gonna draw the line at $70, man. There's no way I'm drinking that beer.
Yeah, I mean that's just overkill. You're not really paying for anything at that point.
The sad thing is I've had like $1,500 bottle of wines and hated them.
Well, that's what they're going for.
$70 on a beer.
This one's tricky to open. I might need to go get a knife. Here, why don't you start on your beer while I go get another tool?
I'll do it. I'll actually preface it. I'll tell a little side story while you go find a knife. Next week, I'm going to Lambeau Field. I got the Packers gear on tonight. Pretty excited about going to my first game at Green Bay, Wisconsin, Lambeau Field. Going to do the big touring and hang out there for, 5 days, I think is what we're going to be there for. So super pumped about that. Probably going to have to drink Miller Lite the whole time. Not real happy about that, but maybe they have some Leinenkugels. I'm sure they do. I'll drink the crap out of that stuff. Are you ready, or do you want me to just do my beer?
Yeah, keep going, dude. I'm working on this thing.
Okay. So tonight I have, and I usually don't stray to this kind of thing. in my alcoholism, but this is Flathead Cherry Cider. And this is made in Billings, Montana. So this is a local guy, Last Chance Cider. And it's made with 15, it says in this can contains 15 cherries and 5 apples. Its horsepower is 6.5, and it's on the sweeter side. I get indigestion. What?
What is the brewery? Who makes
Last
it?
Chance. Remember, a friend of ours was the GM of this place. It was at the very end of Montana Avenue.
I do recall that. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know
former league mate, in fact.
Former league mate. So I get indigestion really bad. I'm a big Sally, and I'm getting old. So I'm sure this is probably going to get me some indigestion, but I'm here for the people.
Let's see this.
Ooh, it's red.
Yes, it is. You were inspired for my beer last time. I mean, granted, this is a cider, so.
Yeah, and I like ciders. Don't get me wrong. It's just not something that I frequent. Let's put it that way.
What's the verdict?
Very choke cherry. That's probably the apple and the cherry mixing together. That's why I'm getting that choke cherry. It does say it's very sweet, and it's on the sweeter side instead of the drier side. I actually kind of think it's dry, which I'm a really big fan of, especially in my wines and stuff. This is solid. This is probably going to take over. Every now and again, I go to the gas station and I have to get a Mike's Hard iced tea. Just kind of switch it up a little bit before I start drinking beer. This is going to replace that. This is solid.
All right.
This is really good. And it's getting better. You know, every now and again you have kind of an aftertaste on things, especially a cider where it almost feels like it's fermented really bad, because that's what it is. It's fermented.
Right. Yeah.
This doesn't have a fermented flavor at all. This is really good.
Okay, awesome. Glad to hear it. Okay, I did get the wax top off. Let me read the description on this guy. Doppelbock lager aged in Malbec wine barrels. Really into Malbecs these days, so this is gonna work out real well. In honor of Fred Sherman.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, the Shermanator, man.
Okay.
I remember he's like, I'm coming back from the 1980s because I'm a sex machine or whatever he said. That was awesome.
All right, let's see if I can do the pour right this time. All right.
That's a killer cup, man. I like that cup.
Thank you. All righty. So
red.
It's darker. It's clear though. I can see through it as I'm pouring it.
Yep.
I can see where you're probably picking up on red. It doesn't look much red from my angle, but you can see through it, and it's kind of, maybe that helps it look a little red. Let's give it a try.
It doesn't have that red tinge on the foam though, so I can see where it's brown.
Okay. Interestingly enough, I don't pick up a lot on the Malbec, so maybe that's why it's lacking some of that red. There's not a lot of that in there. It definitely the dark lager is coming through Doppelbock for sure, but that's pretty good. It's a little boozy on the front, so this should be a fun episode.
Nice. So a question that I wanted to ask you, and this actually kind of came to my mind as we were preparing for this within the last couple days. As a position at first base, can you think of anybody in the last 10 years that really comes to mind where you have really been blown away? I came up with 4 names, it probably within the last 10 years that I was like, okay, but, ranked wise, he turned out to be a good first baseman. Can you think of many off the top of your head?
That turned out to be really good,
Yeah.
and they were expected to be good coming up.
Yeah.
So I guess I've been beating this drum for a long time that I think first basemen are way overlooked frequently
Or,
by most major publications.
or are they moved off their original position and then wind up at first?
I mean, that happens.
That's kind of where I was getting stuck. I was like,
And sometimes
I
you
don't
see it the other
remember.
way around. Cody Bellinger came up as a
Yeah,
first baseman. And look at him now. He's one of the better outfielders in the league, which is
center
very bizarre.
fielder,
You almost never see that. Yeah,
especially center field, like maybe
right,
in a corner, but not center.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, very unusual. Very unusual. And he was known as a pretty athletic first baseman
yeah,
to begin with. So, um, oftentimes I think that the guys that are first base only and they come up that way are the guys that are overlooked. You had a guy like Pete Alonso. He got
he was
he
one.
got some love, prospect love, and he's turned out to be a masher. So it's worked out there. Guerrero came up as a third
That was a good one.
baseman, granted, but everybody kind of thought he was going to end up at first base eventually anyway. Obviously, he was a tremendous prospect. Guys going back a little more than 10 years, two really stick out to me. Freddie Freeman, who is
Yeah,
who has exceeded expectations.
yeah,
I remember them billing him as a 20 home run guy, and he's clearly topped that. Good bat, 280, 20 home run guy. And it's like, Freddie Freeman's a little bit more than that,
no,
quite a bit more than that. And Paul Goldschmidt, who didn't get a whole lot of top 100 billing,
yeah,
he didn't get a lot of love, and he produced, so he was just overlooked. And then he came up, and most of that was due to defensive questions, and he's a Gold Glover. So they just missed the boat on that one, in my opinion. The guy that's produced 70 career WAR or whatever he's at, like, he's had a tremendous, impressive career, and he wasn't really expected to be that great. So
yeah. And I kind of omitted Goldschmidt because he wasn't part of getting ranked highly. So that's why I asked that question. Two that came instantly to mind that you just said: Pete Alonso and Vladimir Guerrero. Once again, Guerrero was at third, but we all knew he was going to play first. And then the other two that I just off the top of my head in the past 10 years that I can only think that they were really high risers was Nate Lowe, or Lowe, however you say it,
yeah,
and
yep,
then Andrew Vaughn.
yeah, yeah.
Those were really the only 4 I could really pinpoint in the
Well, you've
past
got
10 years.
Torkelson.
Oh,
You've got
Torkelson, that's a
Torkelson.
good one. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean he was a top 5 prospect, right? Pretty
yeah,
universally. It's a little early to be able to tell. I don't know that he's lived up to top 5 prospect billing at this point, but he's coming out of his shell finally,
yeah.
which I think he can reach that potential still.
Yeah,
Load the
I
power.
actually feel as a Detroit fan that Torkelson's been rather disappointing. Um, and that's unfortunate, but I just expected him to set the world on fire. I think that's
Right.
probably why I didn't think of that one.
Well, we got another one coming up. This guy I've been touting, Nick Kurtz
Yeah,
from Wake Forest. He'll be in the draft next year. I think he's going to go number 1, and he's a first baseman, but he's known for being a really like a Gold Glove caliber defender, and he's got the bat to match it. So yeah, we'll see. But we could have something special there.
yeah.
Big guy too. He's a big kid.
Good, 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 good. All right. Well, let's do it. Let's dive into the top 10 first basemen that are coming from Scout the Statline's projections.
Heck yeah.
Number 10, here we are. Number 10 is going to be Tyler Evan Locklear. And Tyler was born November 24th in 2000 in Baltimore, Maryland. He was drafted by the Seattle Mariners in round 2, pick 58 overall out of Virginia Commonwealth. Let's see. So he's got 2 seasons under his belt. Once again, he was drafted in 2022. Last season, he had 123 at-bats, batted .285, on-base percentage of .366, slugged .504, on-base plus slugging .870, had 7 home runs, 30 strikeouts, 8 walks. That was in between 2 levels, the rookie level and single A. This year, he got a boost. This year. He played at rookie level for 6 at-bats, and then went to A-plus league, and then got to double A. In between those 3 stops, he had 309 at-bats, batted .288, 405 on base, slugged .502, and he hit that marker that we always like to see, on base plus slugging, at .907. That's got 13 home runs with it, 25 doubles, and walked 47 times, struck out 76. Everything looks really, really decent right there. Well, even on the higher side of decent, looks really good. He is 22 years old at double A, so he's right there on hitting that marker at his age level and playing level. So that's good to see. It was 77 at bats at double A. What do you got on Locklear, Ross?
So Locklear is a pretty interesting one to dissect for a few different reasons. One, he's got some helium. I know that there's some really prominent rankers out there that have him really high among their top first basemen, higher ranked than STS is seeing him right now. And he did start the season out hot. I mean, he was on fire. He had an injury, which kind of stunted some of his numbers, I think. And then there's a flip side to that while this all looks really good, it's just like, it's good. It looks good. This is a profile that doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of risk for failure, but I question where the ceiling is with it. So I find it interesting that STS has him at 10, which is lower than most people would probably place him. I fall somewhere in between. I probably have Locklear 6 or 7 in my first base rankings. I'd have to go back and check, but a little lower than I think the consensus does. Because while I like the numbers, I'm just not blown away by the numbers either. So, really good player. Track record stretches back to college, even though it was a smaller school. There were very eye-popping numbers. I don't know that I would endorse him as like a go get him, because I think that helium has him priced a little higher than the value you're going to receive for him. But I do think he's a very solid player, and I'm pretty interested in watching his career.
I love the comp. That STS has got on Tyler Locklear. It's Travis Shaw. Shaw for the Brewers, played third baseman for the Brewers, had some injury issues, but man, he had 1 or maybe 2 years that were outstanding, all-star caliber level, insane levels. I could see Locklear getting into those insane levels for a couple seasons.
Yeah, it's a good point. I agree with you. It's a pretty interesting comp, and I could see something like that playing out. I hope that Locklear has a little bit longer of a career.
Yeah, I was talking about that not Avalanche, that peak projection. That'd be fun. Travis Shaw could have been a really, really good baseball player. There was a lot of knee and shoulder and stuff going on with him, I believe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Tyler Locklear, is he a buy low?
Right now, I don't think he's a buy low. As I was saying, I think there's enough buzz around him that he's probably coming at a premium for where his value really should be. But I do think he's a good player. So I think if you own him, he's a hold. Shouldn't be looking to sell high necessarily. But if you don't own him, maybe look for some other options that are more affordable.
Is he a top 100 guy for you?
I do think he's in the back end of my top 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tyler Locklear, fellas and ladies and gentlemen. I think he is probably, in my mind, he's a buy low. I don't think it should cost you much to go get him. But if that manager's in love with him, it could be tough. All right, moving on. Number 9. Number 9, we got Spencer Horwitz. Spencer Horwitz is with the Toronto Blue Jays. He went to college in Radford. He was born November 14th, 1997. He is 25 years old. He's 5'10", 190 pounds, drafted in 2019 by the Blue Jays, round 24, pick 717. So we got a track record here. We got, a big track record with Horwitz. We have 1,448 at-bats throughout his minor league career. He did end up and played all season in AAA. Over his career in the 1,448 at-bats, he had a 302 average, 407 on base, slugged 464, and his on-base plus slugging in his career is 871. That's impressive, because I'm going to dive back into his AAA stats for this year, because that's going to be a little bit more telling than him growing up through the minors. He had 392 at-bats this year. He hit 10 home runs. He had 9 stolen bases. His average was 337, had an on-base percentage of 450, slugged 495 with a whopping on-base plus slugging of 945. 30 doubles, and that was another thing that I wanted to mention on our last one. Our last one had 25 doubles. We have 30 doubles here. Those are big time numbers. This profile is big time. He is 25. He is 25, and he's blocked in Toronto. A little bit skeptical of that, but Ross, what do you got on Spencer Horwitz?
Wow, what an interesting profile. And this guy is going to sneak totally under the radar because of all the factors you just laid out. 25, he's old, he's blocked, he's only 5'10", 190, and he's playing first base. There's a lot of little things that you look at here and you could just see that this guy is going to fly right under the radar. But man, what a good season he had this year. And it's guys like this that make me love STS projections, because they bubble such interesting players up. He walked more than he struck out this year. He hit 337. That's impressive. Power's not quite there like you would like to see for a first base type of player, but super interesting overall profile for this season especially. And he did get some time in the major leagues, only 44 plate appearances. Didn't do a whole lot, but if they can find him regular plate appearances, I think this is a guy that could be valuable.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely a buy low opportunity, just because he's coming with no notoriety at all. He's free probably in most cases. STS gives him an above average hit tool, which seems to fit the bill for what I'm seeing looking at the numbers. Below average power at 35, which it does look like he's got below average power to me as well. And then no speed to speak of, which is probably not a surprise since he's playing first base. But yeah, super interesting. I think this is a guy you probably want to keep an eye on as somebody that can step in and fill in a spot, or maybe a free agent pickup that can help you out in a pinch, or maybe he finds a regular spot somewhere and he actually is valuable, and you probably can get him for free. So super interesting name. Keep an eye on him.
So I would be I would have an ear on the wall if there was an injury in Toronto next year, because this would be an instant call up, and that could be for multiple positions. That could be first, second, maybe third. The power's the problem here. I have a fun. So STS has a comp for Spencer Horwitz as Frankie Hayes. I don't know who Frankie Hayes is. I'm sure you probably do, Ross. No, okay. Well, okay. So STS has. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead. Keep going with your train of thought.
So STS has Spencer Hayes as a comp. I have a face comp for Spencer Horwitz. The height is different. The build is different. Actually, the whole profile is different. But for some reason, when I look at this guy, all I can see is Dan Ugla. So I'm just like instantly
interesting.
It's Dan Ugla. So now I'm thinking, well, maybe he could play second for Toronto.
You're just saying that because he's got that thick neck. That's what you're looking at there.
I remember announcers used to saying too, like, if you're going to get into a fight with a team, make sure Dan Ugla's not on that team, because I guess he was just a monster.
Yeah, I'm sure. Frankie Hayes, looking through his career, I see why STS is picking up on him. Pretty stable around bat, not a ton of power, but he did top out with a 20 home run season. Really good plate discipline, good overall hitting numbers through the first half of his career anyway. And then it looks like he started tailing off near the end. Kept his plate discipline up though, so it's an interesting comp.
Cool. Anything else on Mr. Horwitz?
I don't think so. I think it's a good person to watch and make sure you're keeping a close eye on him next season.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's dive into number 10. Number 10 is a personal favorite of mine.
Wait, 10?
What? Oh, I'm sorry, number 8. Number 8 is a personal favorite of mine, and that is Mr. Nathan Martorella. Nathan Martorella was born February 18th, 2001 in Monterey, California. He was drafted by the San Diego Padres in 2022 in round 5, pick 150 out of Cal. We got a decent amount of at-bats here. 2022 saw him have 90 at-bats between rookie and A level, but this season he got to A+ and AA. We had 487 at-bats in 2023. He batted .255, on base of .361, slugged .437 with on base plus slugging .798. 19 home runs, 5 stolen bases, a lot of strikeouts, 101 strikeouts, but he did walk 82 times. So there's some promise there. Another double machine. He had 30 doubles on the year. Only 89 at-bats in AA, but we're going to see a lot of AA numbers in 2024.
He's somebody that we talked about on the Bats and Stats podcast when we had Taylor Case as our guest. Big Padres fan, Taylor is, and Nathan Martorella was one of the players that we decided we wanted to highlight on that podcast. Really good plate discipline. His numbers certainly tailed off in the second half of the season, which is unfortunate. He draws a comp to Matt Dominguez, which is a somewhat forgettable comp. He showed some power during his time in the major leagues, but not a whole lot else. And hopefully Nathan Martorella can do a little bit better than that. But I think the calling card here, the thing that's getting him noticed on Scout the Statline is his plate discipline. So that's been carrying him so far. I don't know that I'm extremely excited for him personally, but he does look like he's a major league quality bat.
Yeah. Another face comp that I have for Nathan Martorella. I hope you can see this one. Can you see this one?
Well, hold on. I got to look him up. unless you want to share it. Can you share it?
I hope you can just pinpoint this one right off the top of your head as soon as you see him. I like Nathan Martorella. I like him for a lot of reasons. I traded for him during the season. I have since moved off, and I got some other things for him, which I was really excited about. Can you see the comp yet, Ross?
I still got to find a picture here. Hold on.
It's no worries. So
I'm getting to it.
My face comp for Nathan Martorella is Adrian Gonzalez. And if he has anything like the career that Adrian Gonzalez had, go get him. Nathan Martorella, he is. Oh, what's that?
No doubt.
Yeah. If for me, Nathan Martorella is a watch for about 2 months during the season, because he's going to be in AA the whole time. He's only 22 years old, so the age comp level is right there. If he has a good first 2 months, you got to go get him instantly, because otherwise it's going to be way too expensive.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think he's somebody you probably want to watch closely. I don't think that I'm going to endorse him as a go get him right now.
No.
But there's some intrigue there. I like the plate discipline. There's decent power. Yeah.
Nathan Martorella. I like him. Moving on to number 7. We are rolling tonight. We got number 7. We got a 21-year-old for the Tampa Bay Single A affiliates. His name is Tre Morgan. Tre Morgan was born 7/16/2002 in New Orleans, Louisiana. He was drafted in 2023, Tampa Bay Rays, round 3, pick 88 overall, out of Louisiana State. Man, this guy, he just loves that Louisiana territory. I tell you, okay, let's go. We only have 48 at-bats. So we don't have a huge sample size to fall in love with Tre Morgan. All we got to do is just kind of, it's a flavor test. Hey, 48 at-bats at the rookie level and the Single A. He batted .417 though in 12 at bats, so he got 3 hits in 12 at bats at rookie affiliate. Hit a bomb, and then got promoted up to the A affiliate. He got 36 at bats.
5
out of 12. Yeah, 5 out of 12. And then 14 hits out of 36 for a 389 average. On base of 500. On base plus slugging was 972. It's just really small. But do you have some college numbers for us?
Yeah. Looking through his college stats at LSU, his batting average actually went down every year. When he was a freshman, he had 357. The next year, he hit 324. The year after that, he hit 316. But his plate discipline improved every year, even though his OBP did not necessarily. And his slugging it was a peaked when he was a freshman, and his second best season was his last season as a junior. Overall, they're not mind-blowing numbers. They're not bad either. But this is the Rays doing more magical Rays things. Again, it's a very small sample to your point, so it's hard to draw a lot from it. But I do like the early returns. 8 walks, only 3 strikeouts. Pretty good showing. I don't think that there's a ton of power here. At least the profile is not screaming a lot of power, but you might have a pretty polished bat here. Definitely somebody just to watch at this point. But there's a little more intrigue here than I think there is with a lot of other bats below them in the rankings. So below Tre Morgan in the rankings, that is.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a wait and see. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a lot of at-bats to go through before we start looking into this guy very hard.
Agreed.
But profile's there. Profile's there. All right, moving on. Let's jump into number 6. Another favorite of mine. I actually touted this one, and this is going to be kind of stabbing myself in the back a little bit. Last offseason, I said that Niko Kavadas would overtake Tristan Casas. I said it multiple times. I said Niko Kavadas is going to be Boston's first baseman no matter what. Casas just doesn't have it. I was wrong. But we got Niko Kavadas, a 25-year-old. He was drafted in 2021 by the Boston Red Sox, round 11, pick 316 overall out of Notre Dame. He was born 10/27/98 in South Bend, Indiana. He had a rough year. Let's not kid ourselves. I have a lot of hope for Kavadas, but he had a tough year. Strikes out way too much. He struck out 172 times and 369 at bats between AA and AAA this year. It's flat out too much. His average was only 206, on base percentage 377. He does like to walk. He can take a walk, but this profile screaming at me, swing the bat, man. You're looking at way too many pitches. Swing the bat.
He's looking like a 3 true outcome hitter at this point.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. He's either going to walk, he's going to strike out, or he's going to hit a bomb. The power is there. That's the good news. The power is legitimate. It's there. This guy was a bit of a Scout the Statline controversy to the point last year, to the point of where we were even worried about promoting him too much because he was rising up our leaderboards and we just weren't feeling it. By we, I mean the people that were the developers behind Scout the Statline peak projections, and we were worried about how that might reflect on us. So while we have a lot of those guys that we're really pushing that are rising up our leaderboards, sometimes we see a guy that's rising up and we're like, I don't agree. I don't agree with the machine right now, and I'm afraid it's going to give us, a negative reputation or something like that. I think these things all play out over time, and I think that's what we've seen with Kavadas. I think he's corrected, and he's in a more appropriate place right now. But I think we started seeing what we were worried about with him last year, this year. And this strikes true going back to his college years. Didn't hit for much average for college anyway, but he did get on base and he hit for power, especially that final year there. And we saw that a little bit last year. I mean, he was just mashing early on, but then as he started moving up levels and started facing higher level competition, the holes in the swing or whatever it is started appearing a little bit more frequently. And now we see him in the highest levels of the minors, which is great. Good on him for getting there. But you're going to have to hit more than 206 in AA and AAA in order to find much success in the major leagues. He's going to have to hit for more power if he's going to be a successful major leaguer. That's my view on it. But he does walk. He does hit for power, so not all is lost. There's just a healthy dose of skepticism here.
Yeah.
And he's not going to overdo the process.
No, he's not. Not at this point. I like once again, like you said, I think the power is there. It's fine. The fact of the matter is you can't strike at 42% of the time, give or take. I don't know what the exact numbers is, but I'm not a mathematician, but it's above 42% that he's striking out at the time. Can't do it.
There's a lot of strikeouts.
I mean, at this point, looking at that, you're not a major leaguer.
Let's see. I'm calculating it out right now. 36%.
Okay,
36% of his plate appearances on the year he struck out.
can't do it.
Just
You
not-
cannot be a major leaguer, and he's just in AAA striking at 36% of the time. Can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, you think of the major leaguers that do that. You have very few that are real successful, and we can't even really talk about Joey Gallo anymore.
Yeah,
Because he was one of those guys. Now he's fringe, and there's the other question is, well, how long does it last? He had a good stretch when he was doing it, but striking out near 40% of the time, was hitting for more power than Kavadas is. You got to be a legitimate 40 home run guy to be successful with those kind of strikeout levels. And I'm not seeing the power is legit. I'm not seeing that level of power.
yeah, yeah.
So
I agree.
you got to change your approach a little bit, dude.
I will throw another little sidebar out there. He's still on my team, and I'm holding.
Yeah,
But
I
I
mean,
am
you
not.
can't sell high, right? Like I guess he was a sell high last year, right?
Yeah.
But I don't
But
know if we would have really gotten that much out of him last year anyway. So
my recommendation now is this: you don't want to be anywhere near this profile. I apologize to Niko Kavadas. I gave you all the juice I could give you last year. I can't do it now. I don't want to be next to this profile, but I'm stuck. That's my word of advice. I would. This is a complete. You can watch it if you want to, but there it is.
all right, I'm on
Does he have a
board.
comp? Does he have a comp? What's his comp? Matt Dominguez.
Oh yeah, we just talked about Matt Dominguez with Nathan Martorella.
Yeah.
Not much to rehash there. He showed some power, but not a great profile to comp, I don't think.
Yeah. Moving on. We're already in top 5. Already in the top 5, and I only had one beer. After that last profile, I need another beer. All right. We are number 5. We are Mr. This was a fun one last year when we were doing rankings, is Blaze Jordan. Blaze Jordan was actually probably my funnest conversation to have about a prospect. Because, man, I was completely down on Blaze Jordan. I was like, he's a flash in the pan. He's a YouTube star hitting 700-foot home runs. You can watch our last year's ranking on Blaze Jordan. We were just like, there's no way that this guy's going to be a good baseball player. Lo and behold, here we are. Blaze Jordan, our number 5th ranked first baseman by Scout the Statline, and I agree with him. Blaze Jordan's awesome. Blaze Jordan, born December 19th, 2002 in South Haven, Mississippi, drafted in 2020 by the Boston Red Sox, round 3, pick 89 overall, out of high school, DeSoto Central out of South Haven, Mississippi. I could run through all the numbers, but I'm just going to do 2023. He sat in A+ league to start the year, and then he got promoted to AA at only 20 years old. Throughout the year, he had 476 at bats. He batted .296, had an on-base percentage of .350, slugged .481, on-base slugging .831, 18 home runs, struck out 75 times and walked 40. Those are good numbers. 32 doubles. I can't over-exaggerate how I felt about Blaze Jordan when I first started seeing him. And I think he was just like a sophomore in high school when he was on YouTube just blasting home runs. I thought they were just, donuts right down the middle that he was just blowing up. No, the kid's a hitter. The kid's a hitter, and from what I've heard, he's one hell of a defender too.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I can't speak much to his defense, but I agree with you. All around hitter, surprising given what we expected from Blaze Jordan. And I mean, what's really fascinating is one of the things that I'm least concerned with when it comes to him is his strikeouts. He doesn't strike out very much. In fact, he could probably stand to swing a little bit harder. He could probably stand to swing a little bit harder, try to squeeze a little bit more juice out of it because his strikeout rate is so manageable at this point. And 20 years old in AA. Just recently, I ran out a poll, and I always have a reason when I run out these polls on Twitter, right? And I said, who would you rather roster between him and Brady House? And it was like Brady House in a landslide won that poll. It was 80-20 last time I looked. And Brady House had a nice season this year, but I think this one is a lot closer than most people think it is. Because most of the comments were like, this one's in a landslide. You know, I don't know about that. Blaze Jordan is a complete hitter. I don't see a lot of risk here. And there's some upside, I think, too. I think that power could come. He did set a career high in home runs. Granted, he doesn't have a long career behind him. His numbers look better than they ever have. And he's now going to be in the high minors as a 21-year-old. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we usually get super excited, like ridiculously excited when a 20-year-old is in AA. And you can say that about any prospect. A prospect that's only 20 years old in AA, we're super pumped up about it. And I don't hear a lot of fan favor around Blaze Jordan like there should be, as opposed to other prospects. I'll be completely honest with you. I just don't see it. And I'm on the bandwagon now, man. Blaze Jordan's freaking awesome.
I don't want to get too bold with this because Casas has had a really good start to his career. But we were just talking about him with Kavadas and your bold statement of how Kavadas was going to be the guy to take first base. I mean, I think if there's somebody that could do it, it's this guy right here. Blaze Jordan could be the guy to supplant Casas if he's not able to sustain the level of production he did this year. It was a really good start to his career, so obviously you give him the benefit of the doubt, but Blaze Jordan is looking really good with a lot less risk, and I think he's somebody that could pull it off. But for whatever reason, Casas got a lot more fanfare than Jordan, despite the way that Blaze Jordan's career started, which was the YouTube sensation sort of thing. So yeah.
In the minds, and I'm speaking as a complete layman, I guess, is the best word for it. Just a complete bystander on the sidelines. Maybe the YouTube kind of turned me off. But now I'm looking at it as a baseball player. Like, this guy's really freaking good. And he's not just this, donut down the middle, 700-foot home run. He's just a damn good baseball player. And good on you, Blaze Jordan. Good on you, man. Stick it right in my face and say, get the hell out of here, Brian. Who the hell are you?
What have you ever done, dude?
Yeah, no doubt, right? Blaze Jordan. Blaze Jordan's got a comp of Omar Narvaez.
That was the White Sox catcher. Yeah. Okay. He seems to pop up quite a bit for us on the comps. Pretty solid catcher, I guess, who had some pretty good years, but he wasn't like a revelation by any means. Sure. I don't love that comp, but I can see where they're pulling it out based on the projections. which is no speed, pretty decent power, and a pretty solid bat. He grades out as pretty average with hit and power. But I think there's another level of potential for Blaze Jordan. So,
what do you got on Blaze? What do you think on Blaze Jordan? Is he go get him?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of all boils down to the price, right? I do think Blaze Jordan is a top 100 prospect. In fact, I have him and Brady House back to back in my rankings. I couldn't tell you which one I have first. I think I have Brady House one spot above Blaze Jordan. So I see their value as being really similar. It doesn't seem like the general population views it the same. Not saying you should trade Brady House for Blaze Jordan, but if you could get him for sub 100, top 100 prospect prices, then I think you go get him for sure. I mean, if somebody that owns him was taken by, the sensationalism when he was younger, he's probably not going to be somebody you're going to be able to, or you're not going to want to pay the prices anyway to get him. So, what do you think?
I'd give up a regular everyday MLBer for Blaze Jordan. Let's say a Brandon Nemo, for example. I think I'd do that.
If you're going into a rebuild, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. But there might be another guy that I would want to target first, and he might be the next guy that we're going to talk about.
Good segue. Our number 4 first baseman, Abimelec Ortiz. Abimelec is 21 years old. He was born February 22nd in Bayamon, Puerto Rico. He went to college in Florida Southwestern State Junior College. I bet there's an interesting story there. That's interesting to me that he went to a JUCO. Anyways, Abimelec spent the season of 2021 at the rookie level. He had 129 at bats. He batted .233 with an on-base percentage of .419, slugged .581, and had an on-base plus slugging of 1,000, baby. That's 11 home runs, 10 doubles, 1 triple, 31 strikeouts, 33 walks. Insane. That's a really good DSL rookie level. It's just really impressive. 2022 saw him have 292 at bats. He batted .226, on base percentage of .308, slugged .380, and had an on base plus slugging of .688. So there was a learning curve there. He had 11 home runs. He had a lot of strikeouts, 93 strikeouts to 32 walks, 6 stolen bases, got caught stealing 7 times. We'll get back to that. But 2023 saw him grow in single A and high A. He had 391 at bats. He hit 294, on base 371, slugs 619 with an on base plus slugging of 990. So blowing away what we want to see at the 9 range. He had 33 home runs, 1 stolen base, struck out 126 times and walked 49. Abimelec Ortiz. Ross, I know you love him.
Okay, so I said this in an earlier podcast. So if you have been listening to us, apologies for repeating myself, but I got to give a shout out to Dukes Was My Guy, at Dukes Was My Guy on Twitter. All year long, he was singing the song of Abimelec Ortiz, and every time he hit a home run, he was sending out a GIF, and it was Abby bombs, Abby bombs, Abby bombs. I loved it. It was just a lot of fun to see. Anyone on Twitter doing that stuff, send your stuff my way because I want to see that. It's just fun to track. Abimelec Ortiz had a big breakout this year. And at the single A level, when he first started, he was really tearing things up. He slugged 604. I mean, you went through the overview of the overall numbers, and I was kind of, like, he's probably going to cool down, and he was promoted to high A, but no, he didn't. He actually hit for more power at high A. 26 bombs at that level, 33 over the. Yeah, a lot more power. It was a really nice breakout. It doesn't mean the profile is perfect. He's got a lot of power. But his plate discipline is still questionable at this point. He's playing at lower levels, and he's older than a guy like Blaze Jordan, so there's that. But we didn't even touch on his Arizona Fall League, which has been very impressive as well. And you know what the most interesting thing about his Fall League season is that he walked more than he struck out. So that plate discipline, which I was queuing in on as being a potential issue for him, lots of strikeouts, not a ton of walks. I mean, he improved on that tremendously in the Arizona Fall League, at least. So there's a lot of promise here. There's a learning curve, I think, and he's on it, as you like to say, on a rocket ship. So I really like Abimelec Ortiz. I've got him ranked higher than both Brady House and Blaze Jordan, as we were talking about those two guys just a little bit ago. So I'm interested. I think there's an interesting ceiling here. He projects for unregressed. He projects for 37 home runs per 600 plate appearances at peak, which is some of the best in the minor leagues that we will see. And he gets a scout grade equivalency of 75 for his power tool, which is pretty insane. Tops out at 80. We don't have a whole lot of 80s, so pretty impressive. His hit tool is only a 40, and that's what he's going to have to work on. And the key there is what I was just touching on. I think it's the plate discipline. So if what he's done in Arizona Fall League is to be believed, I mean, there's a serious impact player there. We just have to wait and see.
Yeah. To me, this screams go get him.
Go get him. Yes, yeah. I agree. He is a go get him because he's still flying under the radar. He doesn't have a lot of notoriety as a prospect yet. We're ranking him aggressively, or I am personally, and STS has got him boosted up there quite a bit. So this is your chance before rankings start coming out prior to next season. Before the hype starts getting to this guy a little bit more, this is your chance to go get him. 22-year-old
in Double-A next year. Go get him. Hey, I love it. He's got a terrible comp on STS, in my opinion. He's got Luke Voigt.
Luke Voigt is really queuing in on the low bat, but the power, So he's got to improve that bat.
Really don't like that comp, but I like Abimelec Ortiz. Go get him.
Go get him.
All right. Number 3. We're in the top 3.
Top 3.
Count it down. Top 3. All right. This is, I think, a double personal favorite for ours. This is one of my favorites. This is one of Ross's favorites. He had a tough year. We're not going to lie about it. He had a tough year. There were some underlying issues there that we'll probably get into. But number three on our bats and stats, Scout the Statline, top first baseman, Kyle Manzardo. How do you say it? Manzalorian?
Manzalorian.
I love it.
Manzalorian, like the Mandalorian. Come on.
Yeah. Kyle Manzardo, born 7/18/2000 in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Drafted in 2021, Tampa Bay Rays, round 2, pick 63 overall out of Washington State. I think we all know what his profile looked like before this year. So let's dive into this year. What happened this year? He played a little bit of rookie ball, but there was an injury in there, and he had two stints at AAA because of a trade. He got traded from the Tampa Bay Rays to the Cleveland Guardians. Am I correct on that?
Yep.
Okay, I'm correct on that.
They got a team. They got a thing going on between players.
I had to really recall what I was talking about there, but yeah, in AAA this year when he was playing for the Tampa Bay Rays, he had 265 at bats. He batted .238, on base percentage of .342, slugged .442 with an on base plus slugging of .784. He did have 11 home runs, 1 stolen base, strikeouts 65, walks 42. It was down. It was a struggle compared to what he did in previous years because he was knocking the cover off the ball. Like there was nothing stopping the Manzardo. He did get traded to the Guardians, and in 78 at-bats, he hit .256, .348 on base, .590 slugging, and watched his on-base plus slugging pop up to .938. He did have 6 home runs in those 78 at-bats, no stolen bases, and 8 doubles. There was an underlying issue that Ross brought to my attention that his mother had heart problems. Am I correct?
Yes, she needed a heart transplant.
Yeah. So when we talk about random players, just looking at their stats, like we all do, we're fantasy baseball players. That's what we do. We don't know what's going on. We don't know that they got traded or that their best friend might be fighting with them. Maybe their girlfriend dumped them. There can be all kinds of things that go into struggles throughout life. And in this case, it sounds like his mother needed a heart transplant. Sounds like she's doing fine now. I think everything's kind of moving in the right direction. And so are his stats. So take with what you will with that. Baseball's a heady game, man. You got to have your head on your shoulders to be able to hit a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and then a 72-mile-an-hour curve. Let's not kid ourselves.
No doubt about it. I think, at Scout the Statline, we very rarely touch on the psychological elements of the game, the psyche in general. And I do want to take a second just to touch on that because we're not robots. We've created data models and they only care about the data. We can only feed it so much information. That physical, that psychological component to the game is so immense. Yeah. We just don't know how to judge that. So I have 2 things to say here. Well, I've got a lot of things to say, but one of them is there was something different this year, and it could potentially have impacted the way that Kyle Manzardo, the Manzalorian, plays the game to a large extent. I know that would have an impact on me, but the flip side of it is I also am not one to give people reprieves. I can look at it and be like, okay, there's something going on there, but I'm also not going to just give them a pass, right? So, and I know that sounds cold-hearted, and I don't mean that at all from a personal perspective. I don't have a personal relationship, and I'm sure he's a very nice guy. Kid, I guess I could say that because he's so much younger than me. But I do want to say this. We have a tale of 2 seasons, and they're not dramatic. It's not like he was awful this year. But his numbers last year were pretty pristine, and they weren't at that level this year. And I don't think this is one of those cases where he's somewhere in between, maybe to some extent, but I think you're getting one or the other. And when I look at the 2 seasons and I compare them and I look at what's different, I still see good plate discipline despite moving up to AAA. I tend to trust last year's productive numbers more than I trust this year's productive numbers because of that intervening variable. I want to be very clear about that. So nonetheless, I'm still, I've moved him down in my own rankings as a result because there's some uncertainty that's been introduced. But I do believe that this is a really good bounce back candidate. And if I were to name a top 5 for buy low prospects, he would undoubtedly be near the top of that list. So I'm going to say this strongly. Go get Kyle Manzardo if you can get him at a discounted rate. And do this for Kyle's mom, for crying out loud.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, like you're going to get him and he's going to do awesome, and it's going to help your team. Hopefully it will help everybody's health and all that too, in some weird, I don't know, all fabric is connected way. One other thing to touch on here is Arizona Fall League was also pretty strong. The batting averages, it's been lower this year all around. So I don't know if that's a focus thing. His power has been pretty consistently good this year compared to last year even. He's still got the same quality of plate discipline. So, in fact, I know a lot of people were really impressed with him this year for setting really high marks for exit velocity and things like that people are interested in seeing. So I think this is a really good chance to get in on a guy that just had a tough season, a tough season. We all have tough years. So I can accept that, and I'm saying go get him.
Love it. I'm right on board with you. I've been on the bandwagon for the Manzardo since the get-go. I mean, go get him. He does have a comp of Jesus Aguilar, Milwaukee Brewer, first baseman.
Don't love it. Don't see him as being a similar kind of player, but
Aguilar had a pretty high average there for like 2 seasons with quite a few bombs. If he turns out to be that for his career, it'd be great. So not an awful comp, but yeah, I could see better. Kyle Manzardo, go get him.
Go get him.
All right, top 2, baby. We're in the top 2. Here we come with probably my favorite first baseman. Can you agree with that? Is this your favorite first baseman?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
Besides the guy that maybe is coming into the league next year.
Yeah, Kurtz. Okay. Well, okay. With I think both of our personal preference standing right now at first base is a Tampa Bay Ray, and he's with the Single A affiliate. His name is Xavier Isaac. Big man. 6'3", 240 pounds. Let's just start calling him man-child. Let's get it over with. He's the Terminator, man-child.
X-Factor. Call him X-Man at least. Come on.
Yeah, okay.
X-Factor, Weapon X, or as the Statliners like to say, Big Pookie for no reason in particular. Big Pookie.
Big Pookie for no particular reason. We got a left-handed at bat at first base. He was born December 17th, 2003 in Fayetteville, North Carolina, drafted in 2022. Tampa Bay Rays, round 1, pick 29 overall out of high school East Forsyth, Kernsville, North Carolina. He sat in the rookie level last year for only 19 at-bats, so we're going to skip by it. 2023, Single A and then High A, combined of 361 at-bats, 19 home runs, 285 average, on-base percentage of 395, slugged 521, on-base plus slugging is over 9 at 916. And he had 12 stolen bases.
Yep.
12 stolen bases and never got caught. he could be a 2020 guy. I'm just teasing.
Well, let's
92,
talk about that.
92 strikeouts and 64 walks. 20 doubles, 4 triples. Man, like I don't have anything bad to say.
All right, so I'm going to throw this out there. I've done a few of these videos on the next big thing, right? That series, and it's going to cover more ground than we will in our little discussion about this, because we're focused more on the Scout the Statline side of this. But in there, I dive into his full season really, and some of his physical attributes. He's got more athleticism than he looks like he has. Even when you're just looking at his profile, a little more athletic than that. He's got big grades for his power, and he's got surprising plate discipline. That's what I've seen from him personally, looking through the data. So interesting player all around, and he grades out to be one of the better players by Scout the Statline's data model. He gets a above average grade for his hit tool of 60, and then he gets a 70 for his power tool. Scout the Statline doesn't see there being any future stolen base potential here. We talked about the 12 stolen bases. That's something I know in that video, the next big thing. Probably not going to translate, especially given his size and physical attributes. But he's got the speed to make it work in the low levels of the minors. Again, when he moves up, maybe Vladimir Guerrero level speed. He's got some sneaky athleticism in there despite his size. But he grades out unregressed for 32 home runs per 600 plate appearances while having a really solid bat. I want to take a second to talk about the Rays, because I think it's really interesting. Last year, they had Manzardo, who was the top of this list. And this year they had Tre Morgan on this list. And then we've got Xavier Isaac. They traded Manzardo. This team is just so good at identifying and developing talent. It's insane. It really is impressive that they're able to do these things with these players to the level that they were comfortable enough letting go of a player of Manzardo's caliber, right? And they did it before, too, with Nate Lowe, right? They had a really good prospect that they were just willing to let go. So just a fascinating thing. I think he's in the right organization for a special career. And I think he's going to be he's one of the top prospects that you can target at this position.
Yep.
No doubt about it. In fact, probably my favorite, probably number one.
Yeah, he's my number one as well. Body types there, he's going to be a first baseman. God, he's a big guy. Scout the Statline has a comp of Roger Maris. Yeah, I don't love that comp at all.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense in my head. I have a comp myself, and it would be Rafael Devers.
Okay. All right.
Devers is not as tall. Don't get me wrong, but they have about the same poundage on them. Devers is 235. Isaac is 240 with 3 inches on top of him. But if you look at their minor league stats, it's pretty similar. And they also have a facial comp. They got puffy cheeks. They got squeezy cheeks. Squeeze their cheeks.
It's interesting. I could see that a little bit. There's some similarities there. I think Isaac has better plate discipline than Devers showed coming up, but it's an interesting comp, and okay, I'm on board with it.
Yeah, Isaac is a absolute go get him. If you're rebuilding, you probably give up your best player for him. If you are just trying to get him, you're probably going to have to give up your best prospect plus. He's going to be a tough get.
I don't know. I mean, does he have a lot of top 100 billing? Maybe the low ends right now. I think you could. I think he's obtainable. He would be my number one prospect because I think he's going to be an impact major leaguer.
He's on a rocket ship right now on everybody's boards.
Well, he should be. He should be. But it seems like every time he gets brought up, I hear people being like, well, I don't know. His splits don't look that good.
So that's another thing that we're doing right now. We're 4 months ahead of everybody. If you're listening to us right now, Isaac is attainable now. In 4 months, when everybody else's rankings come out, he's not going to be attainable. That's what I was trying to say.
Good point. Good point. Go get him right now before it's too late. Before it's too late. Yep.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, because he's going to be top 50 on MLB. Guarantee it.
Oh,
that won't come out till January.
By this time next year, I think he'll be a top 30, if not higher prospect.
I think January this year, he'll be top 50 on everybody's list. Once everybody starts going through it, once again, we're 4 months ahead. He'll be top 50 on everybody's list.
Go get him right now before it's too late. That's what it comes down to. All right.
Listen to me. Open your ears, Ross. You're hearing me, but you're not listening.
Yeah, that's what all the girlfriends say too.
Or you're listening, but you're not hearing. That's what it is. I don't remember it. I think that was Jerry Maguire. You're hearing me, but you ain't listening. I think that was Cuba Gooding Jr.
I don't know. That's not ringing a bell.
Anyways.
I sent out a Jerry Maguire video this morning, by the way. Anyway,
Jerry Maguire.
Let's move on.
Let's talk about Jerry Maguire. Anyways.
Let's just go on.
Let's get into our number one top overall first baseman, scoutthestatline.com. Bats and stats, Ross Jensen, Brian Shanks, bringing it to you. Let's get intense. Let's rock and roll. Nolan Schanuel. Schanuel.
Not quite sure how to say that name.
That's why I did the build up, because I was trying to hide it, but behind it's Nolan Schanuel. Nolan Schanuel. Yeah, Nolan Schanuel is a Los Angeles Angel. He's 6'4", 220 pounds. He's 21 years old. He was born February 14th. We got a lot of February birthdays. I got to mention this. This is 8 February birthdays that I've talked about tonight. So February 14th, 2002, in Boca Raton, Florida. Drafted 2023 Los Angeles Angels, round 1, pick 11 overall, out of College of Florida Atlantic. The reason that I said February is it's my birthday as well. Let's go into the other stats. He's got 2023 stats of, he's only got 74 at-bats. In 74 at-bats, he played for the rookie level, the A level, and the AA level. So we're really blowing through things. 250 in rookie A, 833. So he got 5 hits and 6 at-bats. And then he got 60 at-bats in AA, 20 hits, 333, on base 474, slugged 467, on base plus slugging 941 with 3 doubles, 1 home run, 1 stolen base. College stats. What do you got on his college stats, Ross?
Okay, so overall in college, he was a 386 hitter with a 516 OBP and a 698 slugging percentage. Good for a 1215 OPS.
Good God.
His last year, he hit 19 home runs, and he walked, get this, 71 times, while striking out 14. Almost had a 1,500 OPS. Almost a 1,500 OPS. Now, granted, he was at Florida Atlantic, which is a pretty small school. We're not
What are
looking at,
they
like, one of the
in?
major.
I'm looking it up right now. What are they in baseball?
They're in Conference USA.
Okay, I thought it was Atlantic Sun for some reason. Okay.
Now, Conference USA, I think they moved there a few years back anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, so Nolan Schanuel is a controversial figure for us. I ranked him pretty aggressively on the strength of, well, he was hitting really well. He's got this great track record in the minor leagues, and then he was boosted by the Angels into the major leagues right away. So I boosted him into my top 30 for prospects, I think into the top 25 maybe, and was listing him as one of my top first base prospects. And I got some criticism over this. Like, it blows me away some of the things that I get criticism over. And the criticism was Schanuel, like, you have him ranked too high. He swings a wet noodle. Like, he's not going to make it. And this blows me away because he's having success as a major leaguer right now. And I got some interesting comments on that from some big names out there. The guy that started Driveline, that organization, commented on there, and he said rarely does it work out for somebody to have a higher OBP than a slugging percentage, which is an interesting comment. But again, we're judging this on a pretty small sample, and I think that there's a presumption that it means that Schanuel's power is not going to grow, and that's where I diverge from everybody else, because this guy was a collegiate this year and he's already pushed up into the major leagues. He's hitting successfully. He's not demonstrating a lot of power, but he has a home run. He's got a professional home run, and he had one in the minors. So I don't think there's a complete wet noodle here. I think the guy has some power. But he clearly has to. That's the key to him unlocking star power. If he gets a little bit more power, if he doesn't, I mean, we're looking at the way that I view it from a comparison perspective is there could be a Will Clark type of hitter here. If we're seeing a little bit of growth in power, but not a tremendous, we're looking more at a Mark Grace sort of profile, who's a very successful major leaguer. And I think that would be an okay outcome. And I think that that's the problem. That's the argument that I've been having with people is they're saying that that's not acceptable. I guess I don't really know, but I think that is a good outcome for this guy and definitely worthy of a placement in the top 30 for prospects. So I believe in Nolan Schanuel. I'm giving him my endorsement. I'm saying this is a good player that you need to have your eye on. Yes, there is a key to unlocking his potential, and it's in that power. No doubt.
I think you can make that argument with an on base higher than your slugging when it's at like 350. We're talking about 474. How can you make the argument of 474 compared to 467? That's ludicrous to me. I'm just back. I'm not trying to cause an argument or anything like that, but you can't make that argument anything over 400.
Well, I think they were ignoring their minor league stats. I think they were ignoring their minor league stats. They were just saying based on his professional sample, which his OBP was 402 and his slugging was 330. But we're only talking about 132 plate appearances. It's a really small sample. The guy was in college this year. I want to emphasize that. He played a full season of college ball earlier in the season, So to me, it's like you're making this judgment way too early. Let's see if his slugging percentage is lower than his OBP next year. And if it is, then maybe pitchers stop worrying about being careful around him. Maybe they start challenging him more, I guess. That would be the presumption there is they would challenge him because they think he's not going to hit it very hard anyway. And either he starts hitting for more average and his slugging percentage increases as a result, or he doesn't and he fails to be a successful major leaguer.
Sure.
Seems unlikely to me, but possible.
Sure. Yeah. He has a comp of Wade Boggs.
Pretty good comp.
You like that comp?
I love that. I've been talking about Wade Boggs all year, man.
He has popped up a lot this year. We had him in the mustache controversy.
We wanted it to be Wade Meckler, but Nolan Schanuel getting that comp is pretty interesting. I think Schanuel is going to have more power. Okay. I don't think he's going to have the Wade Boggs bat necessarily, but he's got a good bat.
There it is, fellas. There is Scout the Statline.com's top 10 first basemen. I don't disagree with a lot of them. I love it. I love every single one of them. I love them all. Matter of fact, every minor leaguer out there, I love them all. They're all great.
We did good on this one. This was a pretty good one, I think.
Yeah. First basemen's turned out a lot better than I thought they would. Coming into this, I was a little bit nervous. I was like, who are we going to talk about tonight? This isn't going to be pretty. And lo and behold, here we are. And I'm excited. Now I want, March to come around. Can we just teleport?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Or let's just keep drafting.
We got a lot of work to do, dude. So
let's just keep drafting over and over like we've been doing for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
News there. Lots of drafts going on right now. Me and Ross are a part of two of them. One just concluded, and you're going to be able to read about that on scoutthestatline.com. I won that draft. Thank you.
You did have a very good draft. I was looking through it. I thought you had a really good draft.
And our next one starts tomorrow morning.
Yep.
November 8th, tomorrow morning. With that, guys, we're going to come right back at you. Not next week. I will be gone. But the week after, we're going to come at you with second baseman. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we go second baseman. Yeah.
We're going to go second baseman. Sagisi's going to be in there. I am so excited about Sagisi.
Sagisi. You're just going to be stubborn over that one. No.
Anyways, guys, I really appreciate you coming around, watching our video. Any comments? Ross has got his Twitter handle down there. The X handle is at Brian59044. If you have any questions for me, please either direct message me or throw something on my page. I would love to hear from every single one of you. There it is. We'll see you next time.